Hi guys, it's Eileen coming at you from Just Kettlebells with the final recap video for the Introduction to Indian Club Swinging class. We had class number 6, which was our final class in the series. We did a lot of review. I went through a progression, which I will post in a separate picture, a progression to move through the, to practice the movements 1 through 5 that we've learned, and those naming of 1 through 5 is from the Functional Movement Systems Indian Club course, which is the movement names that we adopted for this series, and also some classical movements, which started with a lot of the circles, large circles, small circles, and then wrist circles, which we did at the end of class today. Before we moved through that, we did practice some additional lower body movements in connection with the move number 1 and move number 2 with the Indian Club swinging. Prior to today, we had only been doing the step, so cross step, which always again comes after you cross the clubs, whether you do move 1 or move number 2, you cross then step, cross then step. So today we also added in front step movements. So if you do move number 1, it's cross step to the front, and so this is just the same as you would do to the side. But the reason that we did to the front was so that then we can move to figure out how to do lunges, which is not just a step, but you can actually do a full weight shift to the front leg. So if we're doing move number 1, we're going to cross lunge and come back. Cross lunge, cross lunge. So at the lunge position, you're here, and then you step back as the clubs come back down. For movement number 2, it's cross lunge, cross lunge. So again, the clubs will be up high again as you do the lunge. So we practiced those movements, then we had the lunge, okay, we moved to squat, which is difficult because we don't want you to squat like a normal squat where you would squat down and then the clubs would come in front of you. What we want is a squat, it's more like a hack squat. Hack squat, your hands would be behind your back, but basically what you do is you come up on your toes. And so that's what we're looking for in order to keep the clubs in position. So for movement number 1, again, it comes after the cross. You would you would squat, cross squat, cross squat, cross squat. For movement number 2, same thing. Cross squat, cross squat. You move to the side. Cross squat, cross squat. So those are the new lower body movements we add in. They do add a large element of cardio to the Indian Club swingings, but make sure you have the movements down, because once you add the lower body, then you're thinking about lower body, and so this needs to be muscle memory of the movements in the upper body before you add the lower body movements. The last thing that we talked about was wrist circles, which are fun once you get them, and I find that there's a learning curve with them, but then once you kind of hit it, you kind of figure out how to do it. We talked about for movement number 1, it's a nice place to do it right up there at the top. And so what you're looking for is the club to come around in a full circle, to drop into a full circle. We're not ringing the club and opening it like that. We're keeping our hand over the club. One good way to practice is to be here and then let your thumb go. And so you let your thumb open up so the club can turn, but the movement happens with the wrist. And so this direction is a little harder. So we practiced it for move number 1. We said for move number 2, it would be just the opposite direction. So you would come up, add a wrist circle there. And then we talked about for the swings, you could add wrist circles to the outside, to the inside. And my left needs a little work, but basically what you want, again, what you're looking for is the clubs to move in a plane so that it's making a full circle in the same plane. so it's not just wobbling around. And again, the other really important aspect of it is to keep the fist relatively closed. You can let the thumb go, but just so the motion is happening in the wrist, because that's really what we're trying to increase the mobility of in that. And the other nice thing about the wrist circles is that it slows down the movement a bit here, so it actually keeps you in extended positions in your shoulder a bit longer, which is again then good for shoulder mobility. So that was the last thing we talked about. It's usually the last thing that you'll want to add after all the other motions once you have them down. But so this was our last class of the series. I'll post the event. I think is actually already posted for next year. I think we're going to be starting another course in late February. My studio is small. We only have room for 4 people. I know one person's already signed up, so we'll have 3 available spots open for that. So thanks for watching and keep practicing.